Welcome to the San Angelo Independent School District Convocation, which officially begins the 2013-2014 school year. I'm Kevin Frankie. Several great students will be helping Dr. Bonds host Convocation today. Let me introduce Breland Daniels, Caroline Ditloff, Andres Montalvo, and Anthony Moreno.
Several school groups will lead our opening ceremony. Music will be performed by the combined bands, choirs, and orchestras of Lakeview and Central High School under the direction of Cindy Costello, Elgin Gregg, Matt Vaught, Rosendo Ramos, David Maxwell from Lakeview and Lincoln, Joey Ashbrook, Mike Berry, Sarah Clark, David Phillips, Landon Gilmore, Sunday Bullock, George Clark, David Heath, Adam Chappell, and Kristen Ellis from Central Glen and Lee.
The colors will be posted by the combined JROTCs from Central and Lakeview High School, who are Cadet Colonel Cody Pierce and Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Eduardo Cuellar, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Luis Martinez, and Cadet Captain Patricia Perez.
Their leaders are Major Christopher Carney, Major Regina Harris, Chief Master Sergeant Kathleen Prince, Master Sergeant Kyle Mantell, Master Sergeant George Marquez, and Master Sergeant Curtis Wheeler.
The U.S. Pledge will be led by Ashley Herring, Central High School Student Council President. The Texas Pledge will be led by Shaylin Pena, Lakeview High School Student Council Representative.
The invocation will be led by Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Nikolai from Goodfellow Air Force Base.
You may remain seated for the first musical tribute.
join with me in the U.S. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, San Angelo. I invite you at this time to join with me as we go before God and ask His blessings upon this event today and upon the upcoming year. Let us pray. Eternal God, you are the one who holds all truth and knowledge. We gather this day as a community, as a school district in pursuit of excellence. We gather to renew our commitment as educators, both parents and teachers, who are united with a common purpose to educate those entrusted into our care. So show us your ways, O Lord, and teach us your paths. Help us to see that our youth are a gift from you and that we have the privilege of molding their character, developing their knowledge, and lifting up their spirits so that they might believe and have the confidence and capability to aspire to heavenly heights. Grant us all patience and wisdom in this pursuit. Lord, we thank you too for our administration who provides vision and encouragement, and for our support staff who provides good nutrition, who promote good health, who maintains clean buildings and grounds, and who ensures a safe learning environment for both the gifted and those with special needs. We give you thanks for those who work tirelessly in our district. We thank you for their hearts and their talents. And now bless our time together. Safeguard our activities and draw us together in spirit and friendship. We ask this in your holy and ever-present and powerful name. Amen.
You may be seated.
We are going to celebrate our successes, get our hearts blessed by the talents of SAISD students, and be inspired by a man who has traveled into space 3 times and will share the lessons he learned as a space pioneer.
It is with deep gratitude for our working relationship that I introduce my teammates, the school board of SAISD. Board President Lanny Lehman, Vice President Max Parker, Secretary Gerard Gallegos, Treasurer Tim Archer, and members Art Hernandez, Bill Dindal, and Amy Mazzell Flint.
Sitting with the board are Assistant Superintendents Jeff Bright and Dr. Carl Detloff.
Dr. Barnes, aren't we blessed to have Goodfellow at Air Force Base in San Angelo?
Oh, yes.
It is wonderful to have approximately 660 of our classmates who have parents serving at Goodfellow.
We are honored to have leaders and our friends from Goodfellow Air Force Base.
From the Air Force, Colonel Thomas Schmidt, Vice Commander, 17th Training Wing, and his wife, Mrs. Schmidt.
Chief Master Sergeant Scott Lumpkin, Command Chief, 17th Training Wing, and his wife, Miss Lumpkin.
Colonel Brendan Harris, Commander 17th Training Group, and his wife, Mrs. Harris.
Colonel Kelly Klein, Commander 17th Medical Group.
Colonel Dominic Bernardi, Commander 17th Mission Support Group.
Lieutenant Colonel Gregory Skugel, Deputy Commander, 17th Mission Support Group, and Goodfellow Liaison to our SAISD School Board.
Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Nikolai, Chaplain for the 17th Training Wing, and his wife, Miss Nikolai.
From the Army, Lieutenant Colonel Devin Blake, Commander 344th Military Intelligence Battalion, and her husband, Mr. Blake, and Command Sergeant Major Matilda Copy.
From the Navy, Lieutenant Commander Cornell Woods, Officer in Charge, and Master Chief Petty Officer Shannon Day.
From the Marine Corps, Major Devin Ruhlman, Commanding Officer, and Master Gunnery Sergeant Jamie Close and his wife, Mrs. Close.
Thank you, military friends, for your unselfish service to our country, for the thousands of volunteer hours your servicemen and women give to our schools and our city, and for making San Angelo and our world a better place because of your presence.
We take very seriously the honor you have given us to guide the young minds of your children and the active duty military you represent. We will love them as our own as we facilitate their learning.
Our district has hundreds of talented and young people.
The combined orchestras, bands, and choirs of Lakeview and Central High Schools will inspire us by playing a tribute to our armed forces and the Patriotic extravaganza.
Dr. Bonds, aren't we all incredibly proud of these students?
You bet.
Thank you for your beautiful musical performance. There is no doubt that the adults in our school district are committed to support and encourage the students of SAISD.
Students will be returning to their campuses to prepare for their first performances.
While our students are slipping out and the adults on the stage are moving to seats in the audience, let's take a minute to thank the marvelous team that has assisted in the organization of this convocation.
Please join me in giving a special thank you to community member Mr. Sonny Clear, who donated all the flags for the special patriotic tribute.
Others who have contributed to the success of this event include Pam Blair, Marta Turney, Jamie Highsmith, Jack Wilcox, and Barbara Carter.
Also, Mr. Heck Knutson, Mrs. Laura Elms, Mrs. Margie Lyons, Mrs. Sandra Pascal, and students Philip Vasquez, Noel Estrada, Ruben Ariano, Michael Transcoso, Jared Trubenstein, Lucas Bell, Isaac Wynn, Christian Delgado, and Zach Velez.
The Lakeview and Central cheerleaders, both are JROTC units, and our transportation and maintenance departments did an important role.
Dr. Bonds, you're fortunate to work daily on a team of creative and energetic leaders.
We hear your 3 assistant superintendents challenge you every day to aim high and keep children your focus.
We have noticed, Dr. Bonds, that you seem to particularly enjoy people of all ages that have a large dose of spunk, especially if it is channeled in healthy and appropriate ways.
Jeff Bright, Carl Detloff, and Shelley Houlihan will use their spunk and creativity to lead us in a celebration of SAISD successes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the Assistant Superintendent Cheerleaders of SAISD.
Good morning. We'll do our best to be healthy and appropriate. How about that patriotic extravaganza? Excellent. So impressed. It's great to be here with our school family this morning. We've all had a week of learning, collaboration, and renewal as we prepare to launch our 2013-2014 academic year. In San Angelo ISD, we pride ourselves on being talent stewards, and we are so fortunate to have students and staff that share their many talents to others. I would like to provide a quick update on one of our colleagues that typically shares the stage with me, Shelley Houlihan. Shelley will not be here this morning due to the passing of her mother. Shelley's mom passed away over the weekend, so please keep her family and other SAISD employees who have lost loved ones and others in your prayers and thoughts today. I will tell you this, Shelley would want us to move forward and celebrate the school year, and that is what we intend to do. It's that time again. It's always an honor to introduce our campus's departments and welcome community members and Goodfellow Air Force Base. We again thank our military and armed forces providing us the freedom to provide a quality education to our community. Thank you. It's a privilege to recognize and celebrate our staff this year, and we thought we might add a new twist. Rather than our typical parade of employees down the middle aisle, we thought we would provide a video documentary to showcase our campuses and departments. Unfortunately, Mr. Bright, always looking to save a buck, decided he would edit the video himself and do this instead of sending it to professionals. I know early this morning he was still in the editing phase, and he mentioned, though, because he's so well versed in cinematography, that it would not be a problem and he would have the final edited version to me quickly. Well, although it seems he must have run into a few glitches with that. Hopefully he will arrive in the next few minutes with the video in hand. We shall see. While we are waiting for the DVDs to arrive, I do have good news to share. We are constantly searching for new ways to promote our magnificent staff and students in San Angelo. One of the ways that we are doing this is the creation of a series of commercials. Yes, commercials. Now, these commercials portray the serious side of SAISD and are meant to communicate directly to our target audience. No more smiley faces, puppy dogs, or pictures of rainbows. We are done with that silly stuff. These commercials show grit, determination, and our hard-nosed approach to learning. Our first commercial preview has been nominated by the Pearl de Concho Motion Picture Academy. This nomination is for Best Coaches in a Supporting Role. Let's take a look. Lights, please. How about that? Pays to rehearse.
You know, Doug, folks in SAISD sure are happy.
How happy are they, Brent?
They're as happy as parents dropping off their kids for the first day of school.
Get happy. Get SAISD.
Doug and Brent, they may be on the field. That was pretty good, but I'd stick to the gridiron. Our next commercial is a prime example of a situation where the students are smarter than the instructor. It does, however, portray why working with a team is better than working in isolation. When it comes to playing football, is it better to play by yourself or play on a team?
Play on a team. With the team. Yeah, with the teamwork.
Is bigger always better?
Yes.
And why is bigger better in that situation?
Bigger is better because, like, if there's like a drink and there's a whole can, like a big can, and then like there's a like 11 people like have like 3 glasses, and then you like there's no more. You would want some more. That's why bigger is better.
What?
It's not complicated. Teamwork is better, and SAISD has the most collaborative academic network.
And finally, making its world premiere and nominated for Best Original Screenplay, our next commercial shows the helpful side of our school district.
I'm a former coach, but now I'm a central office administrator. And I know everything about the importance of working as a team. Sometimes my role is to help guide and direct. Come on. Looking good. Keep it coming. Stop, go. It's a little confusing. At other times, you just pitch in and help wherever you can. Here, Sam, take a break. Hey, don't worry. I'll help y'all fix it. But the best part of this job is going on walkthroughs and getting to help with the students. Oh. It's a good try. So maybe it's best that you stick together and work as a team to protect you from mayhem. Like me.
That's about as appropriate as we could get, Dr. Bonds. Well, did that represent us well or not? It's all about teamwork. And that mayhem is something else. Speaking of mayhem, where is Jeff and that video he's supposed to bring? He said he would make quite an entrance when he shows up with the video. Said it would make last year's entrance boring and dull. Remember last year? Just for fun, let's take a quick sneak peek at last year's Convocation clip. We purposefully left off the dance clip. That was pretty good stuff. I'm not quite sure how Jeff could make this year's event bigger or better. Wait a minute. Did you guys hear that? I think someone's knocking at the back door. Maybe Jeff does have something big planned. I wonder if he has the school bus again, or perhaps a chopper from Goodfellow. I better prepare the runway just in case. Let's start the fog, turn up the music, and raise the door. Mayhem is approaching.
Y'all ready for this?
Thank you for the DVDs. Let's give them the mini Mayhems. Phew, that was close. I was wondering if Jeff was going to make it with those DVDs. And where in the world did he find those mini Mayhems? I tell you what, now that we have them, let's play this video and properly introduce our departments and campuses.
If you're going my way, Tiny Texan provides care for children of students who want to continue their education, graduate, and become productive citizens. Tiny Texan is a licensed center caring for infants birth through 17 months. Transportation for students and their babies is provided. The center is located next to the Carver campus.
If it's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call?
We've come too far to give up who we are. So let's raise the bar and our grades to the stars.
Ring, ring goes the bell. You're cooking the lunchroom ready to sell. You're lucky if you can find a seat. You're fortunate if you have found it. Back in the classroom, open your
Welcome and greetings from Reagan School. It's the best place for learning and we think it's pretty cool. We're under construction so everything's a mess, but let's take a peek at the school that's really best. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Con los terroristas.
and do the Harlem
Con los terroristas. This is for all the girls, boys all over the world. Whatever you've been told, you worth more than gold. So hold your head up high, it's your time to shine. From the inside out it shows, you worth more than gold.
Hi everyone, welcome to Holloman Elementary, home of the Proud Panthers. And for a few years now, we've been promoting college readiness, Recom Tech. And this year, we're wanting our students to find their inner rock star. And what better way to do that than reading rocks? Woo!
ready to leap tall buildings in a single bound? Fly into action at a moment's notice? Do great things under pressure? Use data to tackle your toughest foes?
If so, then you must be a superhero from Goliad.
When we blast off, the skies are in. For Glenmore, there's no stopping.
We'll land somewhere among the stars,
And there you'll find us rocking.
I wonder what the teachers are doing this summer.
I'm not sure.
Con los terroristas.
And do the Harlem
Dad?
Ain't nothing better than watching you smile. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ain't nothing better than watching you laugh out loud, my baby. Ain't nothing better.
CFC
Is
Out
of this world. Get it done.
Last school year was another banner year in academic excellence and athletic prowess at Central High School. This year we look to top that. We believe that Central can, and to get the job done, you gotta have orange. Got orange?
con los terroristas. Y'all are boring.
And do the Harlem
Con los terroristas.
Hey, it's all about excellence, Jack. At Bel Air, we're happy, happy, happy.
Y'all have a great year.
We are
SAISD Countdown to Teamwork.
I've never met an astronaut before. Is it true that Colonel Mike Mullane has traveled on 3 space missions?
Kevin, it's true. After graduating from West Point, being commissioned in the Air Force, flying combat missions in Vietnam, he was selected in the first group of Space Shuttle astronauts and flew aboard the shuttles Discovery and Atlantis.
There's one thing for sure. A person couldn't do that on their own. That takes a lot of trust in your teammates to leave the Earth and go where so few go.
There is no doubt that it took a finely tuned team to reach these goals.
I am excited to hear the details of such an accomplishment. Let's welcome Colonel Mullane to West Texas.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, students, for that introduction, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for that welcome. And I'd like to thank Dr. Bonds, Carl, the entire San Angelo ISD for the invitation to come down here this morning and share some thoughts with you on that topic of teamwork. Before I go any further, though, I do want to make this comment. I speak a lot around the country and have for over a decade, hundreds and hundreds of talks in various locations. And I have to say, I have never had a warm-up act like I've seen here today. Just, as my grandchildren would say, it was epic. And I would like to add my praise to all the other people before me or up on this stage. Just a fantastic production, and you can all be very, very proud of your community. I've been very impressed. Okay, let's talk now about the topic of teamwork, and the way I want to introduce this topic is to bring you along vicariously on a space shuttle ride. So let's just suspend disbelief. We're all fellow crew members. We awake about 5-6 hours before the mission. They schedule a brief breakfast, but good luck bringing an appetite to it. We get dressed in our pressure suits, and boy, don't we look like the image of the right stuff in that big orange pressure suit. Well, that's how we end up. This is how we start out. Not so much the right stuff. We wear an adult diaper. We never say that, though. It doesn't fit the right stuff image to tell people you wear a diaper. So we say we wear a urine collection device. Sounds better. Call it whatever you want, though. It is a diaper. And there are 3 times in your life you're trapped in a pressure suit, can't get to a toilet, and must have on one of these urine collection devices. Those 3 times are launch, landing, and a spacewalk. The rest of the time, you can use the toilet. By the way, whenever I show this slide, I'm always struck by the remarkable resemblance between myself and this gentleman right here, Matthew McConaughey. Hey, don't laugh. When I'm out on the beach with my surfboard, I'm mistaken for him all the time. Hey, it's Matthew McConaughey, Matthew McConaughey. I'm a dead ringer for this dude. Okay, about 3 hours before liftoff, we'll walk from the crew quarters, climb into the crew van, drive to the launch pad, take the elevator to the cockpit level, exit that, walk across the access arm. What do you think your heart rate is right about there? It's a buzz. We enter the white room where we're dressed in our harnesses. Then we get down on our hands and knees and crawl into the cockpit. There'll be technicians inside who help lay us back into our chairs. They will strap us to those chairs. And then as they leave, they will close the side hatch. The access arm will be retracted, and we will be left alone. And we'll be in the grips of 2 fundamental emotions while we're waiting out there, one of which is gut fear. You will fear for your life while you're out there. But at the same time that you're scared, you're also going to be boundlessly joyful. Because for most astronauts, it truly is a lifetime quest to make this flight. And with that at hand, we'll be overwhelmed with joy. Okay, at T-minus 6 seconds, the 3 liquid engines start. We get this heavy vibration in the cockpit when that occurs. At T0, the hold-down bolts blow, the solid rocket boosters ignite, and we're slapped into our seats with a force of about 2 Gs as the rocket leaps off the launch pad. Now, 2 minutes and 12 seconds up, the boosters burn out and separate, and when that occurs, this is what we hear. We hear this loud bang. We see this fire across the windows as these boosters are explosively separated, and then it gets dead quiet. For the next 6.5 minutes, we continue into space on the 3 liquid-fueled engines, but from here on up, it's very smooth, very quiet. The only way you can tell you're moving, besides looking at your instruments, are the G-forces slowly rising on your body, and those will ultimately stabilize at 3 Gs, 3 times the force of gravity. 8.5 minutes up, the autopilot shuts off the engines, the gas tank is empty, it's jettisoned. All that remains now headed to orbit is the winged vehicle, and we call that the orbiter. And by the way, throughout this program, I will slip into referring to the shuttle program in the present tense. Clearly, it's a past tense program, historic. All the shuttles are retired now and are in museums. But as I said, I'll probably slip into the present tense when I talk about it. I have a hard time getting around my head that it's historic. Okay, now we're on our way to the International Space Station. Now, I wanted to share that narrative with you to give you an appreciation of what it's like to be tied into the cockpit of one of these things and be blasted into space, and with that appreciation to set you up for this question. If we had not been pretending, if this had been for real, if all of you truly had been tied to 4 million pounds of propellant, what type of a team would you want out there holding your life in their palm? Clearly, in situations like this, where your life's on the line, you want a great team behind you. How do teams get to be great? They get there by practicing certain fundamentals. And I think there are 3 fundamentals that have overarching importance to the success and safety of all teams everywhere. And those are the 3 that I want to discuss with you this morning. One of which is guarding against a normalization of deviance. I'll define that term here in just a moment. Another is understanding the essence of responsibility and accountability at an individual level as well as at a leadership level. And finally, making certain that we maintain ourselves as courageous self-leaders. Self-leadership is a critical aspect of team success, so we'll talk about that fundamental in this program also. Okay, let's conclude this program now with a short discussion on courageous self-leadership. I'm going to use my life story to develop what this is all about. But the fundamentals of courageous self-leadership are self-challenge and tenacity, of constantly pushing ourselves out of the comfort zones that we find ourselves in, leading our teams out of these comfort zones, saying, hey, we've been successful. Yeah, let's celebrate. Let's have a party. Oh, but we're not there yet, folks. Here's the bar now. You celebrate and then you step out of that comfort zone and continue the journey, and you're doggedly tenacious in the pursuit of these new goals. Now, I'm going to use as I said, my life story to develop these fundamentals of self-leadership. I want to make this point. A lot of people see me now as an astronaut, and they think because I'm an astronaut now, I was born some super kid. I was born with incredible gifts, and I just skipped up the yellow brick road and grabbed the gold ring of being an astronaut, piece of cake. A lot of people think that. Well, let's take a look at this, at what type of powers Mullane came into life with. This is teenage Mike Mullane right here. Trust me, folks, you would not have wanted him knocking on your doors and dating your daughters. That put the fear of God in you. You know, people assume if I'm an astronaut now, I had to have been a child genius. Gifted child, right? Well, here's my high school yearbook photo. Down in Ambition, it says to attend the Air Force Academy. I couldn't get into the Air Force Academy. My grades weren't good enough. West Point took me, which frankly doesn't say a lot about West Point. But in all fairness to West Point, I was a 3rd alternate for my congressional district. I barely made it into West Point, and at graduation at West Point, I wasn't on the stage getting awards for academic excellence. So destiny didn't have genius to work with. Let me show you a few other things that destiny struggled with. This is the varsity club in my high school, the star athletes in my high school. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not in this picture. Destiny didn't have any athletic capabilities. Destiny didn't have athleticism to work with. See this lady? This is the homecoming queen. I didn't date the homecoming queen. Destiny didn't have good looks to work with. This next slide says it all, what Destiny had in teenage Mike Mullane. the dedication pages out of my high school yearbook. I have one dedication, one, and look what it reads. You missed Korea, but here's hoping you make Vietnam. That is, I swear that is the only dedication I have in my entire high school yearbook. What does that say about popularity? Clearly, Destiny didn't have popularity to work with. Folks, I wasn't born some super kid. I was pretty much an ordinary kid. So that begs the question, how did it happen that I went from being the geeky kid to the astronaut? It was self-leadership, courageous self-leadership, folks. And I tell you, I had great mentors on this topic in the form of my parents. My dad was a World War II aviator. He met and married my mom in 1943 in the middle of World War II when she was 19 years old. God, it's hard to believe. My dad survived the war, came back to live the American dream with my mom. But then in 1955, at age 33, my dad was crippled for life with polio, never again walked, spent the rest of his life on crutches and braces and in a wheelchair. This time in my parents' lives, they had 6 children to raise. And I think it's easy for all of us to imagine waking up one morning and realizing the primary breadwinner in a family of 6 kids is now confined for life to a wheelchair at a time in America, 1955, where impaired people are not highly valued. And this could have gone down really ugly. My dad could have become a drug addict, could have committed suicide, my mom could have left him. But none of those bad things happened because my parents were courageous self-leaders and reacted to adversity as courageous self-leaders do. They had established a goal in their life, raising these kids, this family. They stayed laser focused on that goal, worked around the obstacles that polio dumped in front of them, constantly hammering away on that goal of raising this family. Now, I was only 10 years old when this was all going down. I had no clue I was being imprinted with these lessons on self-leadership, but I can look back on my life now and see how I was imprinted with them and how those lessons played out in turning me into being an astronaut. I was a child of the space race. I was 12 years old in 1957 when Sputnik was launched, and I was reborn when that occurred. I fell in love with everything associated with space, with rockets, with astronomy. And I knew, even as a very young teenager, I want to be a John Glenn or an Alan Shepard. I want to fly rockets into space. I was growing up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was a vast desert right outside my door where I could indulge my interest in homemade rocketry. Not so much rockets as pipe bombs with fins. It's amazing I didn't blow myself to hell and back with these things. Sometimes I needed a wind tunnel. I didn't have one, so I used my dad's car as a wind tunnel. If I ever saw this today, I'd dial 911. Sometimes I tested these things from the roof of my parents' house. A real dumb idea. The neighbors and fire department were sure happy to see me leave. Here I am out in the desert setting up one of my creations for launch. Here I am legging it out after lighting a fuse. There's ignition, and there's detonation. You know, people hear I flew combat in Vietnam, flew 3 times in the shuttle, and they say, wow, look at all that danger you live in your life. Trust me. The most dangerous period in any man's life isn't whatever they do as an adult man. It's when we're teenage boys. When we're teenage boys, we don't have a brain in our heads. There's proof of it right there. Here's one of my successful launches. Here's one of my rockets parachuting back to the desert. And here I am recovering one of those rockets. I'm going to re-show this video. I want you to notice the young woman about 18, 19 years old walking off the screen to the right there. That is now my wife of 46 years. Thank you. Thank you. There's a woman who will never be able to say, I didn't know what I was getting into. Not when I have that video. As you heard, I went to West Point. I'll tell you, I thought I died and went to hell at West Point. But I realize now what a blessing that place was because it really opened my eyes to how far out our boundaries are. I can't tell you how many times in those 4 years I'd wake up at West Point and look ahead to the athletic, academic, and leadership challenges that West Point had put in front of me, and I'd say, there's no way, I can't do it. Absolutely no way I can do this. And at the end of the day, I look back and see that I had done it. That was a blessing. And I didn't have to be a courageous self-leader at West Point. I wasn't setting the goals. It was West Point setting the goals. I was being motivated in a big way by upperclassmen and by the faculty to achieve these goals. They were kicking my rear end up the hill to achieve these goals. All of you who have been in the military, are in the military, know exactly what I'm talking about. There was that time in our lives where we had some top sergeant pushing us up the hill. And those we may not have liked it, but looking back, these were blessings. But except for those few weeks or months or year for me, maybe as a plebe, I had to do it myself. You had to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. There is nobody pushing you out of these comfort zones. That's where the word courageous comes in. It takes guts to do this. And most people don't have those guts. Most people are content to sit in these comfort zones, to let their teams sit in these comfort zones. And you don't want to do that. You want to be that self-leader, that courageous self-leader who says, hey, it's hard. Sure, it's hard, but we're going to do it. Here's where the bar is, team. We're stepping out, and we're headed to that goal. You do it individually. You do it with your family. You do it with the team. Constantly challenging ourselves. That's where that word courageous comes in. Went to Vietnam in '69, flying in the back seat of the F-4 Phantom. I had a legendary case of air sickness transferring into the F-4 Phantom. I bet I vomited on the first 30 missions. In fact, I think I vomited while the plane was taxiing out. And I almost quit. And that would have been the end of being an astronaut. But I hung in there, my body adapted, acclimated, became very comfortable riding around in these things. The message here, folks, is tenacity counts a lot. Personally, I think genius is way overrated. I think tenacity counts much more. I think pretty ordinary people, pretty ordinary teams can do extraordinary things when they set the bar and are just doggedly tenacious in the pursuit of those goals. You don't have to be some super person. You don't have to be some super leader. It's just doing those, staying focused, stepping out of that comfort zone. That's how I ended up being an astronaut. And that's how success, I think, in all regards comes. I saw this one time, thought another great quote here. It's not mine, I read it somewhere. Success isn't a final destination, it's a continuous journey. That's the attitude to have, folks, a continuous journey of challenge and staying focused in pursuing those new goals. That's how you take your teams, your professional learning community teams, all the teams represented here, military team. That's how you take your teams to the highest achievable orbits of success, as certainly as that rocket has taken her crew to new orbits. I wish you Godspeed on that journey. Thank you very much, folks. Be safe. Bye-bye. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Colonel Mallane, you have inspired us to work together as a team.
You challenged us to overcome whatever adversity that comes our way.
We now want to give back to our world through whatever gifts we are given.
May each of us leave this place today with a dedication to give our best to each task or assignment.
We need to take our eyes off ourselves and become an encourager and a contributor to our team.
God bless you as you return to your roles in serving, supporting, and encouraging our young people. Ladies and gentlemen, this convocation is adjourned.